All right, so project one of the week is going to be a little sunset painting. This will kind of get us warmed up for the rest of the week. All right, so the first thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need your 3 primary paints. So you're gonna need some blue, yellow, and red. And then you're also gonna need some white and black. And these 5 colors are gonna be the only colors we use all summer. So it's just good to have a lot of them, especially white too. So I am going to start, and you should also have a paper towel, because anytime you change colors, you need to wash and dry your brush. And a little water in a red cup or anything. If you use plastic, it's easier, so you could just throw out the cup and not destroy some good cups like I have done. So I also protected my, I have a little ad, I also protected my table. I am gonna paint flat on the table, but if you have, just for video purposes, but if you have an easel, that's great too. It makes it a little easier. You're also gonna need your big brush. A big brush, any big brush. It could be a sponge brush, it could be any big brush. I'm using a smaller canvas, so I probably don't need something as big as this. And for our details in a little bit, you're gonna use a small brush. So we're gonna paint the background. We're gonna let it dry a little bit, and then we're gonna come back and add some details. Now, so when we're at the studio, letting it dry means usually waving around in the air or blow drying it. Since you're at home, you could give yourself a little time, take a little snack break or drink break between, so you let the background dry before we move on to our details. So this is just gonna be a very colorful background, and then we're gonna put some black details of mountains and some palms. There's gonna be like a palm tree theme this week a little, well, 2 out of the 3 projects. So tomorrow's project is gonna deal with how to draw a palm tree. So today we're just gonna learn some skills on how to make the palms, which are super simple. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna wash and I'm gonna dry my big brush. I'm going to take it, and I am going to draw with yellow a line across the middle of my canvas. Once I have that line, I'm going to bring that yellow up about halfway. So half your sky is going to be yellow right now. Looks beautiful. After you have that yellow, you can wash and dry. So this is going to be a sunset, so it's going to be blue on the top. We're going to get a little bit of reddy pinky and to go to orange and yellow. So I'm going to, next I wash and dry my brush. I'm going to take a little blue paint. I'm going to add some blue paint on top. Now when we use blue, a lot of times I like to add a little white to it. Just because some of the blues are really dark. I'm just gonna add a little, white helps the paint cover. So I'm just gonna add a little blue to that. So I'm gonna bring that blue, I'm gonna leave a little strip. And depending on what size canvas, you don't have to use a canvas, you could use a canvas board or paper, depending on what size you're using, your areas might be bigger. This is a small canvas, it's an 8 by 10, so I have only like a couple of inches of blue in. But if you have a bigger paper or bigger canvas, you're gonna have a bigger space. All right, so I'm gonna take that middle section and I'm gonna add a little red to it. Just a little red, because what I'm gonna do is the best way to blend colors is you blend with white. So in between that yellow and that red, I'm just gonna put a little white, and I'm gonna bring down that red into the yellow. So I wanna create a little orange, and it's also gonna make a little pink. I'm not getting like an orangey, but that's okay. And I also want to take, with a clean brush, I'm going to blend the area between the pink and red. Now I want to get a little more purpley, so I'm going to actually add a little red on my brush. And you want to take nice long strokes because that's going to help blend all the paint together. I'm going to wash my brush again. And I also am going to add a little, I'm on my plate, actually, I'm going to mix a little yellow and a tiny bit of that red. I'm going to add a little more yellow to it to get a little bit of orange. So I'm going to just add some orange in between. So there we go. We have some yellows, oranges, a little pinky purple, and then blue. All right, so my next step is actually, I'm gonna add some more blue on top. So my next step is I'm gonna work on my little ocean or lake. It's more tropical, so we're gonna say ocean or sea. And we're gonna add, so we're gonna put a sun right here. So we're gonna add like, it's gonna be yellow into red. So the water is gonna be a reflection of that sunset. So I'm gonna take some yellow. I already pretty much used my whole paper towel. I'm gonna take some yellow and just right down the center of your canvas or paper or board, I'm just gonna put a nice strip of yellow. If it blends into your sky there, it's fine. Not even washing my brush, I'm gonna take a little red and put some red. I'm gonna start from the sides and move in. So I have some red. And if you have a little orange too from when we just mixed it, you could add a little orange in there. Looks a little ominous right now being a Red Sea. So that I'm gonna use my little brush for a second. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put some white right on the top so it separates and blend it a little. It separates our sky from our sea. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take that and blend it a little. I'm gonna go like all the way down. So you're blending a little yellow and a little yellow, a little red. And when you're blending, you always want to do it very lightly. Touch the brush very lightly, hold it very lightly, because that'll allow you to because it's easier to add things together than subtract. So it's easier to add paint on top than subtract. So we have our background. We're gonna let it dry a little, and then we'll come back, we'll add some mountains, a nice sun, and we're gonna work on our water reflection even a little more. We're gonna put streaks of orange and white in places. So let it dry probably for about 10 minutes. All right, so I let especially my sky, my water's a little wet, but we'll let that dry as we're painting. So the first thing we're gonna do is I got some new paper towels, so make sure you have new paper towels. We pretty much will not need our big brush, so we only need our small brush. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make that setting sun because it's gonna be white. And after the white, we're gonna use black. And sometimes when we use black, it kind of destroys, it takes a long time to get the black out of the small brush, but we're going to start with our sun. So when you draw a circle, because the sun's gonna be a circle, you always wanna start off small, and then as you're making it more round and more complete, you could make it bigger. So always start off small. So I'm gonna start off small, like the size of a dime. And I'm just using white paint, and you don't need a ton of white paint on it. I had a lot of white paint on it. So start off small, and as you make it bigger, as you perfect it. It doesn't have to be perfect though. As you make it more round, make it bigger. And you could do a huge sun, you could do a small sun. I think that's good for me right now. So there I have my setting sun. I'm gonna let that dry and then we might do another coat too. But I'm gonna move on to my black mountains in my background and some palms. So we're going to make mountains that separate the sky and the ocean. So the line between the sky and the ocean is called the horizon line. So we are just going to put some mountains in that horizon line. So I'm going to use my black paint, a little bit of paint on your little brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make on the left and the right, I'm just going to make a little line. So then I'm going to make some like islands almost. So I'm actually going to extend this a little and then I'm going to slowly go up. And you could shake your hand a little to make little mountains in the background. And once you make it, paint it in. So you always want to do a slow, I'm going to extend this one too. A slow gradual increase. If you do it very bluntly like this, it'll look a little funny. If you do that, all you have to do is extend that line. And it's very hard to paint over black. So if you have like a baby wipe handy or even the paper towel, if you make a mistake, you could kind of wash it out. Just wipe it with the paper towel or baby wipe. So next, what we are going to do is we are going to make some palms in our background. So it's going to be like we're on a tropical island. So once again, I'm using my little brush and some black, and I am just going to make like almost a rainbow coming out of the right side of my canvas. Or slightly a half of a rainbow. So once I have that half of a rainbow, I'm just going to take my brush and I'm just going to make from that line that we drew, I'm just going to make lines coming down. And you don't want to make too many lines. You want to give an illusion that this is like a palm or one of the leaves of a palm tree. So there we go. I'm going to do one on the other side just so you see. So I'm going to make almost a half of a rainbow. And then I'm just from the line, you always want to start from the line. I'm just going to start making lines down. And this is going to help with our smile drawing and painting that we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to do some word art. And we're going to make the eye of the smile into a palm tree. All right, so I'm gonna let this dry. I'm gonna wash my brush and wash it out really good because we're gonna perfect our reflection that we have on the bottom. So what I'm gonna do, if you don't have that orange again, you can make a little orange. Make a little orange, and what I'm gonna do in the red section, or actually in the yellow section first, I'm just gonna put some orange. Just make little lines going down. In the red section, I am also going to put some orange lines. Put some orange lines. Once you put those orange lines, wash your brush. Wash it real good because we're going to use white next. So right under my sun, I'm just going to start putting some white lines in my reflection, in my ocean. And the white's going to mix with a little orange, which is okay. Then once I go all the way down, I'm just going to put random. And you always, like with blending, you want to be really light with your touch. Because the lighter with the touch, the easier it is if you do make a mistake. So say I made this one really dark, you could take a little red and just put it on top. And then after you add some lines, you could add as many colors you want. If you want to take, I'm going to take some yellow. Add a little yellow to my red. I'll wash my brush. Ooh, just my pencil, just my paintbrush just went in my paint. After I do that with a really clean brush, I'm going to put a second coat on my sun. And I'm going to take a step back to make sure I like the shape of my sun. That looks pretty good. That looks good. All right, so there's one last thing that we're going to do. I'm going to wash my brush, and we're just going to add a little black on the bottom too. So I'm going to take my little brush, it's clean now. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a very wide smile on the bottom of my canvas, and it's going to be a little shaky. So I'm just going to make a very wide smile, a small smile. I'm going to make it the edge a little shaky. If you just shake your hand a little, you'll get like a little shaky texture. And then I'm just going to fill that all in with black. Then you can take another step back, add some things. I'm going to add some, make this go out a little more while I have the black on my brush. I'm also going to add a little palm below, just because I like how my palms came out. So I'm going to make that half a rainbow again, and then with a little bit of back paint, always start at the line and work your way down. There's a 6-year-old in the background screaming, so if you hear him, that's what you hear. All right, so you want to let this dry a little, and then once it's dry, you could hang it up, and you just made a beautiful little sunset painting. So tomorrow I'm going to do the smile art, where we'll go further into how to make a palm tree. And with that painting, you could either use these paints, but if you have watercolor, you could use watercolor, or if you have markers or crayons, that works too. So we're going to make some word art tomorrow. So thanks for joining us. After the painting dries, make sure to take a picture, send us the picture on email or social media, and we're going to put a video together at the end of the week with a sample of everyone's projects. So even though we are apart, you could see everyone else's projects like we do when we're together. All right, I hope you have a good one. Bye.